Partying is a weakness for the soul, which is why I try to avoid it.
I try to avoid it.
I try to avoid it.
For Mr. McGregor.
I recommend watching Volume 1 of this story to fully grasp the context of what I'm about to share. I was hoping the time would come for a Volume 2, and I was hoping I would get to talk about McGregor in very different terms. Coming back to the sport after a terrible injury. Proving that he could still be competitive, and why not, maybe even becoming a contender or champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship again. But how wrong I was. Today, we're going to see how a man who fought to have it all and managed to achieve it with a certain mindset ended up becoming his own worst enemy, letting himself be dominated by what he once despised. And that, at least as a person, he has become a caricature of the man and the sports legend he once was.
You were the chosen one!
Today, we're going to talk about the extremely painful fall of Conor McGregor the last time we saw Conor on this channel. He was leaving on a stretcher to the hospital, where he later underwent surgery to fix a fracture. After the surgery, he went through a long recovery period, during which the Irishman was not exactly lying in bed. Instead of recovering to compete again, he appeared to be reinventing himself outside the octagon. Because although he kept training and posting pictures of his torso, the truth is that he completely stepped away from professional sports. He didn't fight and didn't return to the United States Anti-Doping Agency program. And for a long time, his name stopped being mentioned as the next contender. And it started being mentioned more at parties, in tabloids, and in scandals. It was as if, after breaking his leg, the bond that connected him to the fighter, McGregor, had also been broken.
What he's saying is right.
Despite everything, the McLovers kept repeating like a mantra that now Conor would be unstoppable thanks to his new titanium leg. Fueled, of course, by himself, who in interviews claimed that he had a new weapon in his body.
Now I have an unbreakable titanium leg. I'm gonna be like Arnie in Terminator 2.
Between August and December 2021, thanks to social media, we were able to see how Notorious started his recovery walking with crutches. Physical therapy sessions, in short, everything we would expect to see in a normal recovery. But being in recovery didn't stop him from putting on his first show outside the octagon by September of that same year. It was during the Music Television Video Music Awards ceremony where he had a run-in with rapper Machine Gun Kelly. Supposedly, McGregor approached them to ask for a photo with him and coincidentally with Megan Fox.
How delicious!
The rapper's partner. The thing is that Kelly refused Conor. Stoic got angry and made a scene, and if it weren't for security, he would have gone after Kelly.
I have no proof, but I have no doubts either.
In October, McGregor caused trouble again at a Rome nightclub. He punched an Italian disc jockey named Francesco Fascinetti, who claimed that the Irishman attacked him without any provocation, and that he could have easily killed him.
At that moment, he completely changed, and he hit me in the face.
Facchinetti filed a lawsuit, but the outcome remains unclear. Some media outlets claim that it may have been settled with a financial agreement out of court, which would be no surprise, knowing Conor's history and the power of the euro. But of course, things went on, and after 5 months without hitting anyone or causing any scandals, it was time to remind the world that Conor was still around. So, in July 2022, in true Abelos style, McGregor goes to Ibiza to celebrate his 34th birthday in a big way. A yacht, prostitutes, alcohol, and according to one of the guests, an assault.
I wasn't expecting that.
The woman reported that McGregor hit and kicked her and that she had to jump overboard fearing for her life. She filed lawsuits in Dublin and Spain, but the Spanish case didn't proceed due to insufficient evidence.
Well, that's it.
McGregor denied everything, and after some time, the case was dropped and Conor?
We find the defendant not guilty of the criminal act.
Once again, there were rumors of a financial settlement, but also that the lack of solid evidence caused the case not to move forward. The thing is, the Irishman got away unscathed again, at least legally. And listen, I don't know what happened there either, folks. The entire world appears quite shady to me in general, and in my opinion, 3 things could have happened. 1. The aunt is lying and she wants money. 2. Conor did kick her and she really did jump into the sea. Oddly, a bizarre combination of the two occurred, akin to The Hangover Part 4, penned by an ecstasy-fueled screenwriter. Choose the version that suits you best. This, in theory, should have been a red flag, that what was happening with Conor wasn't just a couple of silly flings, but the start of a self-destructive process. But no, most of us saw it like always. Just another one from Conor.
Oops, he did it again.
Aside from that time, and thanks to his post on social media, an inevitable question started to arise. What the hell was happening to Conor McGregor's body? Because our bearded protagonist suddenly showed up covered in muscle like never before, and it wasn't just his body, even his face had changed. A wider jaw, pronounced cheekbones, tight skin, he looked like a mix between He-Man and his own wax figure. A lot of us started to suspect he was trying Paulo Costa's juices or going to the same butcher shop as Alistair Overeem. And of course, considering his injury, and that the use of steroids from a medical perspective can speed up the recovery of fractures like his. Hey, I think it was more obvious than how your ex cheated on you. Moreover, he was not in the United States anti-doping agency testing pool, making him exempt from testing. There were no controls, no limits, just protein, yachts, and a transformation that seemed more chemical than miraculous.
He has to do something to heal his leg quickly. So what is he going to do? Well, he's going to take steroids.
And hey people, let him do whatever he wants. But all of this reflected even more his distance from what we're going to call Conor Prime. But changing the subject and putting aside the media chaos, it's important to make it clear that McGregor had moments of great clarity. He invested in real estate in Ireland, a decision that allowed him to secure part of his wealth during a period marked by personal and legal instability. These investments not only diversified his income beyond sports, but also served as a solid financial backup in the face of possible legal consequences.
Wonderful move.
McGregor continued expanding his business empire beyond real estate, evidently shifting focus from the competitive arena. His whiskey brand, Proper No. 12, kept making millions in revenue. Especially after the majority sale to Proximo Spirits in 2021, which valued the company at around $600 million.
Money, money, money!
He also maintained his chain of pubs, the Black Forge Inn in Dublin, one of his most active and visible headquarters. Added to this were his fashion businesses with August McGregor, focused on luxury men's clothing, and various advertising collaborations with international brands.
You know, we know how to dress well. Maybe we don't have a lot of money. We can't afford many things. We always dress well and stay clean, which is something we take pride in.
He worked all of this very well in Conor Prime, when he knew how to take advantage of what he was doing to build a personal brand, solid, consistent, and recognizable. He promoted the whiskey in the UFC octagon, explicitly mentioning it, and his way of dressing, that mix of modern Irish elegance with street swagger, was perfectly defined in every press conference and verbal exchange like this one.
How do I look? What the hell is he wearing?
Altogether, McGregor had managed to build a diversified financial structure, with multiple sources of income that allowed him to maintain his lifestyle even without competing. And with so many legal and media battles going on, making smart decisions with his money was, without a doubt, the best thing he did at that time. Remember how many athletes, like Mike Tyson, have gone broke after their prime due to poor wealth management?
Yes.
By late 2022, rumors of a potential comeback were gaining traction.
Yes, yes!
He was already seen training more frequently, and he was starting to use his operated leg as well. And everything pointed to the fact that the Irishman was warming up. Dana White, for his part, was already rubbing his hands together, thinking about the insane amount of money he would make if McGregor came back. The show was about to come back, right?
Good question.
To warm up the engines. His baldness, Dana announces that Conor and Michael Chandler would be the coaches of The Ultimate Fighter in its 31st season. As you know, The Ultimate Fighter expects the team coaches to face off in the final. But there was a small detail that the bald guy overlooked. The United States Anti-Doping Agency, from there they told Dana something like, hey, it's great that he's coming back. But if he doesn't go through the 6 months prior before being eligible to return, he won't be able to fight. In the following months, Dana pressured the United States Anti-Doping Agency to make an exception or apply a fast track for him. But the people at the agency, far from giving in, slapped him on his bald head and stood firm in their principles. No special treatment for Conor McGregor. Obviously, this made Dana angry as he saw the chance to set up the most profitable comeback of the year slipping away. While all this was happening, McGregor was trying to do his part on The Ultimate Fighter, but his team did terribly. And as if that wasn't enough, the leaks didn't help. According to videos and testimonies from people present during the filming, Conor had more alcohol in him than a walking distillery. In fact, a blood test at that moment would reveal more alcohol than blood in his system. At that time, Netflix also released a mini-series about McGregor, which followed his recovery. His supposed road back to the octagon. If you like fiction, I recommend it. And let's not forget that other brilliant moment when he punched the Miami Heat mascot. And he sent the poor guy inside the costume straight to the hospital. Be cautious. This incident was unintentional and occurred during a sketch. Naturally, when you put an overly energetic professional wrestler in the ring to throw fake punches, things are bound to happen.
Wow, I can't find any flaws in his logic.
By the way, did you know that the father of half of Spain, Julio Iglesias, is one of the founding partners of the Miami Heat? That's right, and technically he's the Spaniard with the most championship rings in the National Basketball Association of the United States. Ha, in your face, Pau Gasol. The rumors of his return started to intensify from June 2023. Still no date and no mention of him re-entering the United States Anti-Doping Agency testing pool. He turned 35 shortly after. And I imagine many of you are waiting for me to tell you about the crazy thing or atrocity he did this time. But no, as incredible as it may seem, he spent it quietly with his partner and now with his inseparable bottle of whiskey.
If you already know how I get, why do you invite me?
Finally, in November of that year, McGregor announced his return to United States Anti-Doping Agency testing. This excited everyone except the United States Anti-Doping Agency. Why? Well, because, as we already mentioned, Dana was hoping that the agency would have a little consideration for the Irishman, and that just by entering the program, he could compete again. His move was clear. Come on, United States Anti-Doping Agency, please. If he were using something, would he voluntarily come back to get tested? A solid argument, but not convincing for the United States Anti-Doping Agency. And once again, he said no to Dana White. They denied approval to McGregor until he completed the required 6 months in the program, just like any other fighter. This disagreement ended up causing the breakup of relations between the Ultimate Fighting Championship and the United States Anti-Doping Agency at the end of 2023, and as far as we know, it was the United States Anti-Doping Agency that decided to cut this relationship. Dana White and his potential successor, Hunter Campbell, promptly defended themselves. They accused the United States Anti-Doping Agency of seeking attention, and that it wanted to have more control than it was supposed to within the sport. In addition, they said that all of it was a smear campaign. They flatly denied having asked for special treatment for Conor and assured that McGregor was already in the pool, that he was ready, and that he had complied.
No one who has gone to the United States Anti-Doping Agency, and I'm telling you nothing that wasn't, Conor McGregor will return to the program when he is healthy.
And yes, that was true. But of course, they announced him for a card where they knew perfectly well that he wouldn't be able to fight, because he hadn't yet completed the required 6 months. And in the meantime, they kept hinting at possible comebacks and dates that didn't fit the real schedule either. Dana, the situation is not in your favor.
I don't give a damn.
Regarding the McGregor issue and the United States Anti-Doping Agency, my opinion is the following.
I have no proof, but I have no doubts either.
The year 2024 would start relatively quietly for Conor. It seemed that finally everything was starting to align for his long-awaited return to the octagon. In March of that year, Roadhouse premiered, a new version of the classic film starring Patrick Swayze.
Roadhouse.
And about that movie, the only thing I'm going to tell you is that it doesn't even come close to the original. Does it do its job? Honestly, I find it really funny to see Conor McGregor in that role, and I think he does what he has to do really well. Being a hyperbole of his own character turned thug, but I think it should have been a different movie, not a remake. For sure, it delivers good fight scenes as expected, and if you switch off your brain on a Sunday evening, it's enjoyable. Besides this, how can we forget that during the promotion of the movie, rumors started circulating that the Irishman had been doing drugs. And not exactly fairy dust?
It's not coke, it's flour.
But according to some media, the substance thing was almost a fact. And personally, I believe it. Beyond films, McGregor continued making business moves. On April 27th, 2024, his investment in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship was made official, better known as Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, although the deal had been in the works since the previous year. As of the date of this video, the promotion is valued at around $400 million. A figure that reflects the growing global interest in bare knuckle martial arts, and the weight of Conor McGregor's name within the business. However, despite this, it's important to emphasize that right now, the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship is still not a profitable business.
What do you mean it's not?
It's a prominent investment with uncertain returns for now. But back to what's important, it was announced that finally McGregor would make his return at Ultimate Fighting Championship 303. Ikibig ko ba DF? During International Fight Week, the International Fight Week.
Conor versus Chandler. 5 rounds at 170 pounds.
Obviously, his fans were freaking out, and Anna even more so. Conor and Chandler started promoting the fight and everything was going great. In a surprising turn, McGregor withdraws from the fight, asserting he had fractured his pinky toe. And it's an injury to take into account, but with all the money and all the time invested, I don't know, it just seems strange to me. John Jones won a championship with his finger almost hanging off, and Merab fought with injuries down to his very soul. I tell you both sides of the story. Knowing when not to fight is also part of being a professional fighter.
That's right.
So, I'm not gonna judge this, I'll just leave it here as a fact. After this, he would be very active on social media and at a few celebrity events. But it would be at the end of that year that Conor would finally hit rock bottom. In the first volume of his story, I didn't mention it because I focused more on his athletic side, on the positive part. But it turns out that back in 2018, Conor threw a party at a hotel in Dublin where there were several women of questionable reputation, and he allegedly sexually assaulted one of them.
Phew, dude.
The case was moving quietly for quite some time, but eventually our protagonist had to face justice. At the trial, the woman alleged Conor offered and shared cocaine with her and her friend. He allegedly became aggressive, leading to the sexual assault with a long history behind it. The woman's name is Nikita Hand, and she accused McGregor of sexual assault. As I was saying, in 2018 there was a criminal investigation, but the Irish prosecutor's office closed the case in 2021, claiming there wasn't enough evidence to take it to criminal trial. So she filed a civil lawsuit. That route doesn't require the same evidence or the same standard of certainty, and there the jury did support her. McGregor was found liable, and he was ordered to pay €250,000 in damages, plus 1.5 million in legal costs.
It's bullshit. It's the biggest bullshit I've ever seen.
Seemingly, there was insufficient evidence to imprison him for sexual assault, but there was enough evidence to get almost €2 million out of him for sexual assault. This seems strange to me, but that's how the system works. Legally, he was marked as responsible for sexual assault and publicly as a cocaine user.
I'm just as surprised as all of you.
A media bombshell left him looking terrible to the public. Despite avoiding jail, there were no shortcuts this time.
The jury finds the defendant guilty.
Conor and his legal team announced that they would appeal the decision, strongly denying that there was any kind of violation in the process. According to their version, everything was by mutual agreement. However, a few weeks later, they withdrew the appeal without giving any explanation. But of course, with such a sensitive topic on the table, the consequences didn't take long to arrive. Notorious lost several major business deals and sponsorships, and most notably, even the Megalodon Calvo remained silent. After this, in a move that many claim was a way to recover what he had lost in his legal battles. He started talking about a supposed boxing match against Logan Paul in India, but in the end, nothing came of it. Perhaps it's better for Conor, considering the street food there. Who knows what he could have snorted up his nose? With his sports career completely on hold, he went from being a global idol to a figure who deeply divided public opinion. Before the law, he was officially a rapist, publicly a self-confessed drinker, and according to several sources, an alleged cocaine user. With this resume, McGregor began to flirt with the only career where none of this is a real obstacle: politics.
I'm a feminist because I'm a socialist.
From then on, he spoke openly on social media and in public about his interest in becoming none other than the President of Ireland. A position that essentially is more ceremonial than executive. Something like the King of Spain, because the one who really makes the decisions and deals with the daily mess is the Prime Minister. But anyway, McGregor said he was interested in the position. As of this video's date, it remains uncertain if he will genuinely pursue a political career. But when possible, he takes a jab. Oh, do you remember the famous Miami Heat game where the mascot ended up in the hospital because of a punch from him? It's time to discuss that night once more. Because it turns out that after the game, McGregor ended up in the bathroom with a 49-year-old executive whom he allegedly tried to force to perform oral sex on him.
A little sword cleaning for me, right? As a bonus. Come on, let's go. Don't be silly, it tastes like yogurt.
A woman filed a sexual assault complaint, but it was dismissed for insufficient evidence. However, in January 2025, she filed a civil lawsuit that continues. The Irishman's legal team claims that the charges will be dismissed. I have no proof, but I believe if that's not the case, they'll likely reach a financial settlement. Since then, Conor has tried to reverse his legal troubles with appeals and legal maneuvers. But so far, none of them have worked for him in court. The last thing we know about him, he has come out to offer himself as an option to consider. For the supposed Ultimate Fighting Championship fight that's going to take place in 2026 at the White House.
What?
Yeah, for those who live under a rock, President Donald Trump has said that he's considering holding an Ultimate Fighting Championship event on the grounds of the White House.
We're planning an Ultimate Fighting Championship fight on the White House grounds. Just consider it.
Why?
Because I fucking can.
As far as we know, Conor isn't in the testing pools for the new Ultimate Fighting Championship anti-doping program either. This clearly complicates his potential return significantly. Although it's also true that the rules of this new system aren't well known yet, and it's unclear how strict they're going to be with certain stars. Honestly, and I hope I'm wrong, I think the athlete Conor is already gone. What's left is Conor the showman, the media personality, the businessman, the walking scandal. I doubt he'll fight again, at least not seriously. Maybe an exhibition, a media circus, or something with more spectacle than sport. That's where I can see him, but hey, I really hope he proves me wrong in the future. McGregor's life changed after breaking his leg, and his life has become a roller coaster, with more downs than ups. From being a young man with hunger and discipline, with a clear goal, and his fists as his only tool to achieve it, he became a global phenomenon, a symbol of overcoming adversity. He helped the sport grow as he grew himself and became an inspiration for millions of people. But today, that person simply seems not to exist. In his place, we have a distorted and perverted version of himself, more interested in the spectacle than in the competition. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But mired in controversies, scandals, accusations, excesses, dubious choices, and lack of control that marred his reputation. What used to be an example of focus now seems like a caricature of a fallen star, overwhelmed by his own persona and his own vices. At 36 years old, I think it's pretty fair to say that his physical prime is already behind him, and more importantly, so is his mental prime. I have no doubt that if he stepped back into the cage or the ring tomorrow, he would sell millions. And he would probably still beat a lot of people. But maybe, just maybe, what we would see would be the decline of his athletic career. He fights without real hunger, without motivation, without the goal. Just to cash big checks that allow him to sustain his vices, his lifestyle, his legal troubles, or maybe just to keep the spotlight on himself. Honestly, I really hate that this Volume 2 turned out this way. For me, words and symbols have a lot of power. This channel, Intelligence Quotient Fight, comes from a fighter whom I deeply admire, Sakuraba, also known as Gracie Hunter, also known as Intelligence Quotient Wrestler. And this one you see here is one of the beings I love most in this world. He's about to turn 4 years old and his name is Conor. For the deep respect and tremendous admiration to the positive side of today's video's protagonist. I truly hope to one day make a Volume 3 about Conor McGregor. With a very different tone than this one because I really miss Conor, in honor of whom my dog is named. I think what I've told you before happened. Poor Conor had a purpose as a man, a brutal and perfect focus that kept him on track. But when he achieved his dream, he lost what got him there. He was left without direction, without hunger, and surrounded by attention and money in amounts he could only imagine before. And that, instead of setting him free, enslaved him to his lowest instincts. He was swept up by excess, fame, and ego, losing himself in the process. He is a wealthy, powerful, youthful, and thriving man. And even so, and as he himself once said,
there are no excuses. You know what I mean? I've been defeated before. I've lost fights in mixed martial arts, boxing, and many times in the gym. You know, I lose all the time, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. If any real martial artist knows to succeed in this sport, you have to lose a bunch of damn times.
And this time, Conor has lost